Hey there, beautiful and amazing Black family. Shaquita Graham here, founder of Black Tech TEK Lab.net and co-founder of MarriedWomen'sBiz.com. Listen, I didn't have much time today, but I had to come on here to talk about this, what I call a case study based on this interview between Roland Martin and Dr. Umar, because I believe that it shows us a lot that we can really glean insight from in the Black community. And of course, you know, I love my Your Black World family, and I appreciate being on Dr. Boyce's platform. I do want to let you know that because we're talking about all of this stuff, my opinions are my opinions and nobody else's. So let's just make that clear. So let's get into it. I want to cover a couple of things about this as quickly as I can. I said that this interview was offensive, tacky, and backwards. And I'm going to just go over like some issues around how the interview was conducted. I want to highlight some issues exposed in what I call this case study. I want to look at what other Black sociologists and authors have discussed related to some of the topics covered in the interview. And I want to look in depth at Dr. Umar's, what people are saying are controversial comments, and look at what some other people in the community had to say. But first, I want to say that I respect Dr. Umar Johnson and his work. I love the vision that he cast forward regarding the school, the fact that he wants Black children to study agriculture, aeronautics, and all kinds of other things, and just that he wants it to be Black funded and Black centered. I respect that tremendously. So, you know, I'm not going to talk about his school or any controversy surrounding him. I just respect his work. I don't know him personally. I've never met him. And so first of all, the interview, let's just get to some of the things related to the interview that were offensive. Because as a Black woman, I found the behavior and the attitudes of Roland Martin and most of his panel offensive. Because, you know, Dr. Umar, his position and his stance is from the standpoint of an alpha Black male. And I feel like that's what we need in our community. I might not agree with everything that he has to say. Whether I do or not, it's not the point. It's the fact that he wants to bring forth solutions, and he wants to speak from a global Black perspective. And these are the type of men that we need to uphold and support in our community, because they are the protectors of our families. They are the protectors of our legacies and our futures. They are our protectors as Black women. And I feel like for an establishment like TV1 to be so disrespectful to him, that was completely offensive, especially regarding the subject matter. I mean, this man said, like, look, I believe in Black family, and so that's why I take these particular stances. And his stances were logical from the standpoint of upholding the Black family. And I'm going to go into that in more detail. But anytime you as in Roland Martin and TV1 as an entity, have someone on the show and interview them, someone who supported legislation to lock up Black men and also use that slave labor for their benefit, Miss Hillary Clinton, you dance with this person, you give them a soft shoe interview, but somebody like Dr. Umar Johnson, who's standing up related to the oppression that we're experiencing in the Black community, you give him the business. You like let people call him a liar on air. I mean, it was just ridiculous. That was offensive and tacky. You know, that was very, it was a racist, white supremacist tactic. That's the type of tactic you see on like a Fox News, you know, just to ambush somebody like that and just talk over them and insult them. I mean, we don't need that kind of media representation. And, you know, I feel like when we have a Black man who wants to stand up for our community and be unapologetic, like I love how he said to Roland, like, it doesn't matter the status. The standard is the same, regardless of whether it's, who did he mention? Barack Obama, his father, and all of this in regards to interracial marriage. He mentioned, I can't remember the guy's name, the very popular singer, and who was an activist married to a white woman. He mentioned Sidney Poitier. And, you know, Dr. Umar was like, and I mean, star factor is not a criteria for me to make the standard for the Black community. And I respect that because, you know, you have a lot of people in media, some say even Roland Martin, who is swayed by star power, so-called star power. So I love the fact that Dr. Umar was poised, he was unapologetic, and he demanded respect. Whereas Roland Martin, you could tell that he was being antagonistic, and he was setting up a stage for this Black man to be attacked. And I don't like that. You know, whether I agree with Dr. Umar or not, I don't like to see that, period. That is so off code. And so, you know, I am really offended as a Black woman that Roland Martin used his platform, used that panel to take such an aggressive stance against Black family, Black love, and Black activism. And then that lady on the show, I don't even want to mention her name. I'm just offended by her jerry curl. Like literally, because that just shows me that you have been called to be on national TV and like nobody loves you or cares about you because you have a jerry curl and you don't have any friends and you don't have any family members, not even Roland Martin or the producers on his show, not anybody that would tell you to stop, do not come on television with that jerry curl. And you know that's not right. But in a way, I'm glad that the people who hired her to speak against the Black community, they overlooked that jerry curl because they must not know that Black people do not trust people that still have a jerry curl in 2017. So, you know, I was offended by her just all the way around. Her statements and all of that, I felt like were anti-Black woman, period. And I'm going to go into what I mean by that. So let me share my screen so I can stay on topic. So let's see here. Black Anglo-Saxons. So, you know, Roland Martin had this whole fake outrage moment where somebody from his panel called Dr. Umar a liar, similar to how they did President Barack Obama in Congress that time. And Roland like completely overlooked all of that to say that you can't use the word coon on the show. And by the way, guys, I have on my stay in your lane, since we're going to be talking about interracial marriage and relationships. I have on my stay in your lane big baller brand t-shirt. So anyway, back to the topic. So Roland Martin had this fake outrage moment where he's saying, well, this one of his panelists could like outright call Dr. Umar a liar. And then when Dr. Umar called him a coon, he's like, no, we don't use that word on this show and all this. I'm like, whatever. So anyway, I'm not going to use the word coon here today, but I am going to use the words Black Anglo-Saxons. And this was actually a book. This is the title of a book written by Dr. Nathan Hare. I think he wrote it in the 60s or 70s, and he profiled like 13 different attitudes and perspectives of different Black people who go under the title of assimilationists for the most part, the Black Anglo-Saxons. And in chapter 1, he covers the dignitaries, what he calls the dignitaries and eunuch leaders. And he says here that white government officials admittedly scout for moderates, that meaning acceptable in the eyes of liberals as well as segregationists, to fill important committee positions. One does not expect this of Negro leadership, yet let an unequivocal Black, or he's saying Negro, but I'm saying Black person, open his mouth and he is gagged by news, blackouts, and persecutions, and lambasted collectively by the moderates, or so-called Sambo statesmen. This is a quote from the book Black Anglo-Saxons, Dr. Nathan Hare, page 10. He, previous to this comment, he goes on to say that, you know, these eunuch leaders include all of these like different types of entertainers, newscasters. And I submit this is the kind of thing that you saw going on in that interview on TV1. So-called moderates, you know, they'll say little things about Black Lives Matter. They'll say little things about oppression or racism. But for the most part, they're going to be moderate enough to appeal to liberals and even just some staunch white supremacists, you know. And then if a Black man like a Dr. Umar, or like, I mean, even like a Dr. Boyce, different people who are doing things in our community, whereas if you are a Black news outlet, you should be covering, like you should be covering Hidden Colors, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1804. You should be covering Dr. Boyce's Black Business School, the appointment of the institute that he has at Simmons College. You should be covering Resurrecting Black Wall Street and all of the different things, the Black Business, I said the Black Business School, but you should be covering that if you're a real Black paper. And that's why I can give a little credit to the Breakfast Club, because I feel like they are at least starting to open up, widen the conversation to Black intellectuals that are popular in our community, whereas TV1 is staying with these moderates and they're attacking Black people who have intellectual and relevant thought about our situation. And I feel like that's what happened in that interview, and that's why I'm deeply offended, because these people are standing up for Black family, and I feel like Roland Martin and TV1 used their platform to attack this person, thereby attacking the Black family and the Black woman. And, you know, I really don't have no respect for that. So, you know, so I feel like this quote from this book epitomizes what happened there. So let's move on a little further. Another thing I think should be highlighted is that Carl Bernstein wrote I think it's over 2,500 word article about the CIA and the media. Because you would wonder, like, why would it even be logical for Black people to be so adamant, aggressive, malicious, and intense towards Dr. Umar making these statements? I mean, you don't have to agree with him, but you don't have to attack him either. But just, you know, some people may feel like this is relevant to that situation. The quote says, more than 400 American journalists who in the past 25 years have secretly carried out assignments for the Central Intelligence Agency, similar to like the COINTELPRO type thing, according to documents on file at CIA headquarters. Some of these journalists' relationships with the agency were tacit, some were explicit. There was cooperation, accommodation, and overlap. Because you have to wonder, like, why are some of these people being put in the media when they really don't have a big following? You know, why are they being placed in national media? The Jerry Curl lady, she's constantly on Roland Martin's show. And I'm just like, why? You know, why her, but not Tariq Nasheed? Why her, but not Dr. Boyce Watkins? Why her and not a lot of different people who are out here speaking relevant, speaking on relevant topics about overcoming oppression? Why are they not on the show? You know, and so we have to ask ourselves, like, who, if you're not working for the Black community, who are you working for? Like, who are you really working for? And there's a lot of information in this article. It's not just American journalists, but it's people in high positions at these media corporations who have a record of participating in things like COINTELPRO that target the Black community. So I think we should just be aware. We should just be aware of that. By the way, let me highlight our sponsors. At mwbshow.com, you can get a free copy of Black Family Power magazine. Also at techguide.net. You can get a free guide about getting involved in the technology industry, building a high income technology career or business so that we can have the type of finances we need to fund really real black media that cares about black people. And go to the blackbusinessschool.com so you can get information on building a business. So let's keep going here. The next thing I want to highlight is some information that is shared in the book Trojan Horse, Death of a Dark Nation, written by Anon. So chapter 26 of this book is titled Operation Jungle Fever. Now, a lot of people had a problem about Dr. Umar saying that he believed there's no other woman for the black man other than the black woman. And of course, over 90% of black people feel that way. That is why most black people are married to a black man or a black woman. So to be honest, that whole interracial thing is not as big of a phenomenon as the media would like us to believe. And I'm going to go in depth about, you know, why his statements are logical and why we can see that the media would try to promote this idea. So in this book, Death of a Dark Nation, in chapter 26, Operation Jungle Fever, the author theorizes about some rules that racist white supremacist media outlets have about the type of content that must come out. And this, she gives like over 30 different points about this. This is from page 60 to 161. I think the chapter is at least 10 or 15 pages or so, maybe more. But she theorizes that this information that I'm about to read was in a memo that's sent out to media outlets about their objectives and their goals in media programming. So she says here that our goal, this is from the letter that she theorizes and summarizes what media outlets think or share or promote. Our goal is to promote interracial relationships between white females and black males as a superior alternative to black male, black female love. And she goes on to say that wholesome entertainment standards for these racist white supremacist media outlets includes to destroy the natural bond between the black male and the black woman by creating programming that, number one, and again, she has like 15 points. I just pulled out 4. Number one was the programming must degrade the black male and the black female. Number 2, it shows the black woman as the enemy of the black man. And number 4, I skipped to number 4 from the book. The programming must show the black woman as undeserving of the love, support, and respect of black males via talk shows. That's like really the reality shows and, you know, a lot of these little entertainment, like your TMZs and different things like that show black women being real ratchet and world star and all of that. So, you know, she talked about talk shows, but those are other media formats to do the same thing. And I skipped down to number 8 from the book. She says the programming shows black men risking their lives to save and assist white females. And there's a million examples of this. Man on Fire. Also, the most recent example that I could think of off the top of my head was Mr. Church, where Eddie Murphy like basically gives up his whole life to take care of this white woman and her white daughter. I'm like, really? It was just like, okay, seriously. And I'm gonna read 2 of the objectives that she highlights from this theoretical memo. Number one objective is to program the black man to reject the black woman in favor of the white female, so he will breed himself out of existence. Okay, I'm gonna read that one again. The number one objective of the programming is to program the Black male to reject the Black woman in favor of the white female, so he will breed himself out of existence. And yes, I think it goes both ways. Also, you could change that around and say to program the Black woman to reject the Black male in favor of the white man, so she will breed herself out of existence. The second thing is to reward Black entertainers if they demean Blacks, in particular the Black female. But I feel like that was part of the strategy on TV One too, to just demean a true, unapologetic Black man. Again, pay attention to our sponsors. Get your free information at mwbshow.com. Black Family Power Magazine was created to inspire, encourage, and uplift the Black family, also to inform the Black family, because we see a lot of negative imagery about the Black family, and this type of media is there to combat that. And blacktechguy.net, we don't have enough information circulating in our community about ways that we can build high income careers, because the average Black family makes around $40,000 annually. I personally have a passion to see that increase to over 6 figures, like you see in some other communities, like Asian communities, Indian communities, through the use of taking advantage of technology careers. I mean, through the strategy of taking advantage of the opportunities in the technology industry. And the Black Business School, of course, has amazing information to help uplift our community. So back to this. So the last thing we were saying was, we were talking about breeding himself out of existence, or breeding the Black man or the Black woman, breeding themselves out of existence. And people think that this doesn't make sense. This is not a reason to be against interracial relationships. So let's go a little bit deeper here and see why a lot of people have a problem. It's not so much a problem with who you so-called love, or trying to be the penis police or anything like that, but just saying that logically speaking, it's just not a good idea for the progression, the upliftment of the Black family. It's just not. So let's see a little bit more about why a person would say this. Now, I'm going to examine this phenomenon in Brazil, in South America. And Theodore Roosevelt in 1917, he was on a trip to the state of Mato Grosso. I may not be pronouncing these things right, because these have a Spanish, Spanish sound to the word. So he said that the main ideal is the disappearance of the Black question by the disappearance of the Black himself, gradually absorbed by the white race. Now, this is a former president of the United States. This, to him, was a way to get rid of what they call the Negro problem, or Black people. What way can they get rid of Black people? The president is supposed to be educated, supposed to be, liberal and out for the rights of all people and all this kind of stuff. He says to get rid of Black people, we need to absorb them into the white race. Okay, so this ideology is called branqueamento, or racial whitening, or I think it translates specifically to bleaching. Now, this was I don't want to say it was most widely, but it was captured specifically in Brazil, this ideology. They say between 1889 and 1914, but there is a blog called The Women of Brazil that talks about how this is still in play today. And I believe this is what we're seeing in the media in play in the United States today. So it's an ideology accepted in Brazil and around the world as the solution to the Negro problem. So anybody who loves Black people and Black families would not want this strategy to be successful. And I feel like that's what Dr. Umar was saying. So why would Jerry Curl Lady and Rolly the Boule Bird have a problem with that? Okay, so supporters of the whitening ideology believe that the Negro race would advance culturally and genetically, or even disappear totally within several generations of mixed breeding between whites and blacks. This was studied by this man Skidmore in the Oxford University Press in 1974, Black into White Race and Nationality in Brazilian Thought. All right, let's go even deeper. So we know what our former US president said about gradually absorbing Black people into the white race. But he also wrote an article in Outlook magazine, and he talks about, basically he praises using this idea in Brazil and how the Brazilian Negro is disappearing. Okay, and we have a lot of Black people, or a lot of Black men are falling for this idea of, yeah, let me go to Brazil and get this mulatto type of woman, this in-between type of woman. And I'm not trying to go into definitions of Blackness and stuff, but colorism is an issue in the Black community. And this is one of the methods through which that idea gets ingrained in us. The lighter, the better, the darker, the worse, and all of this kind of thing. So Theodore Roosevelt wrote this article in Outlook, and then a Brazilian statesman compared the United States and Brazil by saying this. So he's comparing and contrasting the way that white people in America and white people in Brazil deal with Black people. And he says, now comes the necessity to devise some method of dealing with the Negro problem. Okay? You of the United States are keeping the Blacks as an entirely separate element, and you are not treating them in a way that fosters their self-respect. So they will remain a menacing element in your civilization, permanent, and perhaps even after a while, a growing element. With us, the question tends to disappear. The Negro problem disappears because the Blacks themselves tend to disappear and become absorbed. So this is what we're saying. This is what Dr. Umar is talking about. Why this is not good for the Black family. This has been a strategy that has been used since, we know, it probably even well before 1913, to deal with so-called Negro problem. So this person says that you're in the US, you guys are treating Black people mean, so you're not going to get them to cozy up with you like we do. And if you don't do that, then what they're going to do is they're going to be menacing. What he's calling menacing, meaning they are not going to go along with the program of racism, white supremacy. They may even fight it, and they will be a permanent fixture or something permanent that you have to war against, in a sense. And they may also, God forbid, in their opinion, grow. The Black family may grow if you do not absorb them into the population. He says, but here, what we do is we are making them disappear because they are becoming absorbed, because the Blacks themselves tend to disappear and become absorbed. And if you look at some of this Brazilian art right here, this picture on the left, I don't have the name of the picture, but it's famous. It's called, I don't want to try to say it because it's a Spanish word. It's like Renacuo de Cam or something like that. But if you go to the Black Women of Brazil website or blog, you'll probably see this. Anyway, so you see right here a darker skinned, older Black woman kind of in a prayer stance. And the idea of this picture is that she's praying that the what they call, because it translates the curse of Ham, right? So the curse of Ham means that Black skinned people are cursed. So what she's praying for in this picture is that her daughter will erase this curse, because she's got a mulatto daughter who has married this, or not married, but at least had a child with this white man and created a white child, therefore removing the so-called curse of blackness. So, you know, for that Jerry curl lady to get up there and say, oh, Dr. Umar, you're smarter than this, to say that interracial relationships are not good for the Black family. Wait a minute, lady, this is documented. This is a documented practice throughout of all history. Are you not smarter than that? So anyway, there's a lot of these types of pictures. And you can see another one here on the right, and I definitely don't have the name of that one. But just to promote, again, this is a artistic way of promoting this practice. Okay, so let's see what else we got. So that's all I've got as far as the slides. So the other thing I wanted to do is I wanted to look at what other people in the community had to say, because a lot of times we'll sit back and we'll look at mainstream media as an example of the Black collective, and it can be discouraging to think that, you know, there's, to just get this feeling that there's so many Black people who don't understand the real issues that Black people face and who are against Black people being serious about fighting oppression. And that is the idea that white stream media wants us to have, all these just very defeating thoughts. So I just want to look at some of the things that other Black people or other people had to say about this whole Roland Martin offensive, tacky, and just disrespectful interview. So one person on the thread on Facebook said, Roland Martin, why didn't you grill hit Hillary Clinton like this? Dr. Umar Johnson did nothing to warrant this level of scrutiny. It's not like he called us super predators like your girl. I added like your girl part. So it's not like he called us super predators and campaigned for a bill that ballooned up the prison population, with us making most of the prisoners. Someone else said, Umar's opinion on interracial dating and what white people have done for Blacks should have been sidebar questions. They should have been able to make it to what about white supremacy and how Blacks can educate their children for the better and ways to end mass incarceration, you know, important stuff. And another person says, we just can't stay on code. We should never ambush a brother on national TV. It is just wrong. And I would further venture to say it's not we, it's people like Roland Martin and people who, you know, have this platform like TV One. So let's see here. What other people had to say. This person said Dr. Umar put those house Negroes in their places. And let's see, what else? Somebody said, ew, the panel is so enamored with white people that the mere idea of committing to our own detests them. The woman is the worst. They said she's probably getting D'd down. They didn't put D'd down by a white dude her whole life, is what this person says. And then another person says, why is it so difficult to believe that a Black man or a Black woman could not do something of this magnitude if you are not Oprah? Who can fund from your own pocket? These things take time and money. Where's the Black support? You look at him sideways, but you would trust a race who has done so much against your own, and yet to sympathize and have compassion for them so easily when you cannot do the same towards your Black brother or sister. And it has to do with the mental state of Black people. And I hear what this person is saying. She's basically saying, why do you not believe that Dr. Umar or some other Black person, even like a Dr. Boyce Watkins, he has that Simmons, you know, he has that institute at Simmons College. Why are you not supporting a Black person funding from grassroots level projects that are solely for Black people? And why do you have so much sympathy and compassion for a group of people who have done so much against your own people, but you don't show any compassion or even just basic respect for Dr. Umar? So, you know, again, I just wanted to read some of those comments just to get to the point that, you know, it's a lot of Black people who see through the whole TV1, Roland Martin, we support Black people fakeness, okay? And it's a lot of Black people, and I appreciate the ones who email me and tune in to Your Black World and any of my platforms. And we're going to keep doing this. You know, we're going to keep creating our own media and taking control of the narrative, and we should support one another in this. And I am a contributor to Dr. Umar's school, and no, I don't know everything that's happening with it, but I mean, I'm not worried about it. I mean, if he starts school, good. If he doesn't, we need somebody else to start a school, and that's what I'm about. Let's keep moving onward and upward and not get caught up in this pettiness against one another. And that's all I had to say about this. I love you guys. Let's stay encouraged. Let's keep moving. I hope to see you on some of these other platforms. Thank you so much for viewing.